Hello Year 10, I hope you had a good Easter and you're well rested after half term. We're going to begin our advertising project this week. However, just a reminder before we get started, I was a little bit concerned that some of you haven't handed in your Strange and Mundane projects yet, which were due on the 3rd of April and it's now the 20th. So just a reminder that this is a coursework subject and everything that you do from the beginning of Year 9 until the end of Year 11 does count towards your final grade, okay? So if you look at the timeline that's on the screen now, at the start of Year 9 you did Identity, at the start of Year 10 you did Strange and Mundane, and now move on to Advertising, which is going to run all the way up until Christmas when you're in Year 11, okay? There isn't time to fall behind and all of those projects are worth 60% of your grade. Then when your exam project comes in January, that'll be the remaining 40%, so we must keep up to date please and let me mark your work frequently. Anyway, now that I've finished moaning at you, our tasks for this week are to produce a mind map, a mood board, to focus on a specific theme within advertising, and you're going to write a statement of intent as well. So starting off with a mood board, we're going to put the word advertising in the middle and then think about maybe 4 or 5 key areas that could branch off from the word advertising. Now you don't have to do exactly the same as me, in fact I'd rather you didn't, but I've gone for food, fashion, products and then just a general other area as well. Within fashion, I've narrowed it down into makeup, clothing and accessories. Within food, I've looked at like healthy versus unhealthy, restaurants and groceries. And then within products, I've gone for things like furniture, medicine, technology. And then in other, I've just thought about what other adverts even exist. So we've got charities, we've got different companies, so things like solicitors or things like that. And then public service announcements. Now, it could be an opportunity to make something really current at the moment, maybe about COVID-19, because there are a lot of public service announcements on things like Spotify, on the radio, and on TV as well. I went on a website the other day and there was a big advert down the side of it, just reminding me to wash my hands. Maybe that's something you could think about. Now, if you just did those branches coming off, I've got, give or take, 20 words. I'd probably be looking at a grade 4 or 5 for that. However, if you start to bring your intent in really, really early and that flows throughout your project, that's how you're going to get those higher grades, those 6, 7, 8 grades, okay? So, you'll see in each corner that I've put a title that links to either fashion or food, other or products. So for fashion, I thought about, could I do a project about the fashion industry's impact on mental health, or eco-friendly fashion, or affordable fashion? For food, could I think about what makes an appetising food photograph? Could I look at packaging? Could I look at healthy versus unhealthy lifestyles? For products, I've thought about, are we as a society too materialistic? Do we buy too much stuff that we don't really need? Could you look at the advancement of technology over time? So think about, even just in my lifetime, I know you think I'm about 100 years old, but like when I was born, there weren't even mobile phones. And think about how far things have come in the last 30 years. It's quite amazing. It's something you might want to document. And then for things like furniture, think about companies like Argos. Sofas are boring. How do they use advertising to show that their products are interesting? How do they use advertising to make people want to buy their boring stuff? And then finally, in the other category, I thought about raising awareness. Maybe you want to do a project around the NSPCC and how they use advertising to get people to donate, but also raise awareness that children can contact them if they need to. Maybe you want to look at mass communication, so back to that COVID-19 theme. Or it might be a drink driving campaign that you come up with. Like, any of those are fine. Now, it might be that you just want to do advertising for the sake of advertising. Maybe you want to look at doing a campaign for a fashion brand or something like that. That's okay. However, if you're wanting to get those really high grades, maybe you should start thinking about critiquing advertising. Like, have you got an issue with it? Is all of it okay? Do you agree with it all? The next thing you're going to do is then narrow it down and create a mood board. So I went for the food option and I thought about what makes an appetising food photograph or advert. Now, I do love food, obviously, but it's also something that's going to be really easy for me to get hold of. Now, I don't mean to be rude, but every so often when I teach this project, there'll be one person and they've got their frontal model for them, and I'm sure they're a very pretty person, but they're just a bad model. Now, you don't want the quality of your photographs to be dictated by something that you can't control. So if you are going to do things like fashion or beauty or anything involving people, make sure your model is really comfortable in front of a camera, because if not, it doesn't matter how good your lighting is, your photos aren't going to look professional. Now, I don't like directing people very much, which is why I've gone for food. I can decide everything about that picture without having to control another person within that frame. So just something to think about. Just a reminder that a good mood board should have really high quality images, a real range of like angles and lighting and things like that, and aim for about 20. The next thing you're going to do is then look at the project planning document that I've attached to the assignment on Teams. You'll see that all of your different options for what you're going to do throughout the project are in rows, and what I need you to do is just choose one option per row. So for example, are you going to do shadows or high shutter speeds? Then we'll move on to artists, so choose one artist. Is it Tyler Spangler, April Grayman? Then choose your next artist. Is it John Rankin, Andrea Torres, or somebody else? If it turns out that you don't like any of these artists, please do go and choose your own, okay? However, think about how you're going to make your images visually interesting. Maybe they edit in a certain way, maybe they use lighting in a certain way, maybe it's a particular angle. And then finally, you'll move on to your statement of intent. Now, I've put my PowerPoint onto Teams for you as well, so that you can copy and paste the writing template at the bottom of this screen if you need to. If you read through mine as well to help you, you'll notice that I didn't like some of the artists on the project planning document, so I went away and found my own. I found Irving Penn and I found Skylar Burt. However, I did use Andre Britz and Travis Rothbone from the project planning document. You don't have to find all of your own artists if you don't want to. So that's it for week 1. Just a reminder, we need a mind map, a mood board with your narrowed down idea, and a statement of intent once you've chosen your options from the project planning document, okay? It's the 20th today. I do need all of your work back by the 24th, that's Friday. Remember that you would normally have 3 hours a week of lessons if we were back at school normally. So please do complete this to a high standard, okay? If you've got any questions, obviously you can contact me on Teams or by email. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be more than happy to help you. But I'm really looking forward to what ideas you've got. See you later.